Game 1 of preseason is in the bag, and the Bulls came away with a win. I'm going to talk a little bit about it right after this.
It's time to see red.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another Chicago Bulls Chat Series UK podcast with me, Neill, your host. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Game 1. Bulls basketball has returned, and it's returned with a little bit of a bang. Slow start, but great finish. I'm going to talk a little bit about the bits and pieces that I noticed throughout the course of the game. There's not a whole lot to tell. It is preseason. It is Game 1, but we came away with a win at the Rocket Arena in Cleveland, and we play them again tonight as I'm recording this on Thursday. It will be a Friday morning tip-off, 1 a.m. for Irish and UK fans, but for the American market, we're going to be coming through this evening. So Game 1 ended up in a win for the Chicago Bulls. It was a very, very close-fought win, but it was a really slow start. The very, very start of the game, the Bulls couldn't score a bucket. They couldn't hold on to the ball. Really, really bad ball retention. I think it was 5 turnovers. It was pretty bad to begin with, and it looked like it was going to be an absolute routing by the Cleveland Cavaliers. But somehow the Bulls managed to scrabble their way back into it. A good second quarter made things change. The bench mob done their job. That rhymed. And they've done a really good job of retaining the ball better, transition, defense, and just making it that little bit more difficult for Cleveland and their bench to get into the game and hold on to any kind of a lead at all. It was even Steven going into the break. I think it was 57 all at halftime. And then the Bulls managed to kind of take a bit of a lead in the third quarter. Cleveland fought back, and it kind of went back and forth a little bit, and the Bulls managed to take the win literally thanks to the final play or couple of plays. Dalen Terry ran the court for a block to save the day, essentially leaving milliseconds left on the clock for a final play, which, do you know what? Cleveland weren't too far away from actually making something out of that. A sideline pass, threw up for a lob, but Jalen Smith was just not having any of it. And the Bulls came away with a win. So let's see if we can do something similar tonight, hopefully with a little bit more decisiveness straight off from the first whistle. It wasn't a great start, very, very slow. The starters certainly struggled. It was only when Ayo Dosunmu came on that it kind of started to change things around and change the fortune of the Bulls a little bit. Speaking on Ayo looked absolutely fantastic, coming back off that shoulder injury and shoulder surgery. He really looked like he wanted it. It looked like he wanted to be there, and he looked like he was ready to play, which is great news because, as I've spoken about recently, I really see Ayo as an integral part of this team going forward, and certainly the bench runner, the bench leader. So who else was a standout then? I thought Isaac Okoro made a good account of himself. He certainly showed that he has that tenacity and that push to really force on the defensive end, make things difficult for the opposition. And that's exactly what we want to see. And of course, he was playing his old team again tonight. So he had something to prove too. And I think he did a pretty good job of that. Didn't look terrible offensively either. Didn't look fantastic, but that's not what we're expecting to see from Isaac Okoro. Maybe a little bit more than what I expected out of him offensively is what we got. But defensively, it certainly looked like what I hoped he would look like on the floor. Josh Giddey didn't see too many minutes. People went into overload about it. Like, I told you he was no good. And, he was a bad signing. Guys, relax. Okay, take a breath. This is preseason. Okay, there were issues with getting his visa, so he was late to training camp. He's a little bit unconditioned compared to the rest of the squad. He only played 12 minutes. Give it a chance. He certainly looked when he was out on the floor like he was struggling with his handle. He was struggling to kind of get the flow going. But when he did, he was making the passes as we would expect, finding open guys and creating for others, which is what we want from Josh. Is what I expect to see from Josh. He didn't do particularly well off the glass, which is something that I do think he excels at. But it was 12 minutes. It was preseason. Like Billy said, he is that little bit out of shape. He's going to get there a couple of games and he'll be back in his stride. Relax. So who else from the bench? Vooch looked like he was just plodding along, which you often get from preseason Vooch anyway. I think he kind of sees the preseason as just a stopgap until the season starts. So I'm not too worried about that one. Kobe didn't play, obviously, with this injury that he's got in his calf. And I wouldn't expect him to play much, if any, of the preseason anyway. Apart from that, I mean, there was no major standouts in the starters, really. You've got to talk about Matas, of course. Matas just, he looks comfortable. He looks ready to play. He looks like level 2 Matas. Like, you know, I know he's year 2, but he's like found another level already. He's very comfortable out there now. He doesn't look like a rookie anymore. He doesn't look like a sophomore either, though. He looks like he knows where he belongs. So that's really exciting going forward. I really think Matas is going to have that leap this year that a lot of us were hoping he would have. And definitely there are signs of that out of that short stint he had in game 1. But like I say, the starters didn't see a whole lot of time. The starters didn't really do particularly well. The bench mob, though, were a different story. The bench mob, and yes, I am calling them the bench mob because I do think we have another iteration of a bench mob right now. We have a deep bench. We have good, solid contributors coming off the bench now. So who really stood out to me? Well, I've already mentioned Io. Zach Collins had a solid game. He linked up very well with a certain 5'6" point guard in Yuki Kawamura, who I want to talk about in a second. So that was good to see. Dalen Terry looked good too, and like I say, he made that final-ish. I know it wasn't exactly the final play, but it was the one that really, really mattered. He looked good. He looks built. He looks ready to go. I've always said he's an energy guy. I've always said he's one of our defensive players off the bench that will give you whatever you need. He'll always give you 100%. I mean, anyone that has listened to this will know that I don't listen to the naysayers when it comes to Dalen Terry. I love Dalen Terry. I just love this kid. I find him infectious, and I find him always prepared to give what he can. And he played well. I suppose the surprise for me was probably the fact that when Pat finally saw time and he wasn't in the first rotation off the bench, which is really notable. But when Pat came in off the bench, he looked okay. I mean, he didn't look like he didn't belong, which we've seen so many times in the past. He actually looked like he wanted to be out there. He looked like he felt like he belonged out there. Now, it wasn't anything fantastic. He didn't exactly light things up. He didn't get 40 points, 30 points like he has done sometimes when he's been given free reign and lull us into that false sense of security. Oh, actually, Patrick could be a player. No, but if we could get those kind of solid rotational minutes from Patrick when he is on the floor, then look, okay, is it worth 18 million a year? No, but is he going to contribute something? Yes. And that's what we need to see from Patrick, right? So a bit more of that, P-Will. Believe in yourself. And who knows, maybe you'll turn into an NBA player after all. Trey Jones gave us excellent, solid minutes off the bench. I mean, this guy is definitely worth the signing. He is a solid, rotational point guard that we will definitely see minutes from. I expect him to potentially come in on the first rotation off the bench quite a bit. He really looked comfortable out there. Really enjoyed watching Trey Jones on the floor. And so I'm sure we'll see more of that again tonight. And the one that I really, really am excited to talk about, though, is Yuki. YUKIMANIA is here to stay, guys. I'm not joking. Something changes when he's on the floor. Now, don't worry, I'm not losing the run of myself. I know he is a third rotation piece, maybe even fourth in the point guard position. But it's going to be one of those things where when it comes to garbage time, because the game is already sealed, whether it's a win or a loss, when the game is already sealed, we're going to see Yuki minutes. And it gives us something to look forward to because he's so much fun. He is just such an enjoyable watch what he can do with the basketball, the way he reads the game, the way he reads the floor, how fast he plays, how tenacious he is on defense. He's a great on-ball defender because he just gives you no space. He's biting at the heels the whole time. And he's just so much fun, and he seems to have already linked up so well with some of the players on this team. I mentioned Zach Collins. Himself and Zach Collins really, really, really made something of the game. Yuki is definitely well able to feed into Zach already. And there are other players as well that you can just see he connects with. And I can't wait. I said this in the off season. I can't wait to see just a few minutes of Yuki and Matas together on the floor, because I think that's just going to be so much fun. It's going to be aerial highlights all the way. YUKIMANIA is here to stay, guys. It is not something I'm sitting here saying he should be a starter, he should get regular minutes. He is a two-way player, but I can't wait to watch him play in Windy City, because he is going to light it up in the G League. Yuki Kawamura is going to be so exciting to watch playing for the Windy City Bulls. And it's going to be very, very difficult for Billy to not try and find those garbage time minutes for Yuki, whether it's a win or a loss. Like I say, it doesn't matter. Yuki's going to see the floor, and I can't wait for it. I'm all here for it. Yuki is so enjoyable. So if you haven't seen him play yet, if you haven't seen his highlights, I implore you to check him out, because it's just great basketball. It is just great basketball. Now, I expect to see some more from him again tonight. Yuki Mania, Yuki minutes are going to be the highlight for me during this preseason. I think obviously that will roll back on itself in the regular season, because like I say, I don't expect him to see too much floor time in the regular season. But for this preseason, Yuki is going to be the highlight reel. And so check him out. And that's about it for me. Looking forward to tonight's game. Hopefully we can come away with another dub. I'll talk a little bit about it then, hopefully over the course of the next few days. But enjoy the preseason. Remember, we're in the Discord. If anybody wants to roll in, just hit me up and I'll send you the link, and then you can join the live thread. I am running the live thread in the Discord for the preseason, so get in there and we'll have a bit of fun there too. In the meantime, take care. I'll see you soon. And remember, see red, bleed red, no matter where you are in the world. Go Bulls.